Welcome to Happily Ever After. This is
The
the
Raj
Raj
family.
family. I am Martin, and this is my wife, Debbie. My wife, what is the topic for the day?
So, we are talking about how to manage family after marriage or during marriage.
During marriage, of course. And is this the family as in you and I, or family as in your family and my family?
All of those.
All of those. Okay,
All of the
okay. So it is
above.
going to be very interesting today. So let's see how this would go. Okay, so how about the family management between your family and my family? As in, like, how can we handle issues? Good things are fine, we don't have any problems there. But when there are issues, let's say your parents don't appreciate something that I do, how do we handle that?
So, a very important principle that actually we were told by our mentors that it's very wise advice is if my parents have something against you, I am supposed to stand by your side, defend you, and speak to them about the situation. Not send you to speak with my parents because it's easier if there's someone that is not part of the close family that you will have more friction, more misunderstandings, and if there's any hurt, it will be a little deeper because it's not like that's my mom and dad or that's my son, but it's like, hey, this is my son-in-law and this is my mother or father-in-law. So it's important to stand by our spouse, to stand with each other as one team, and I'm your defender in front of them and with them. I'm not there to get into their band or their view, but to honestly analyze things with you and then stand firm in what we as a couple, now we are a nucleus, we are an independent family, so we need to be in one accord. And I'm the representative, the ambassador with my family, and you with yours. So that would be the healthy way to do it.
And I also think, let's say, even if I am on the wrong and they are right, and they are pointing it out and then they are having issues, it should still come from you to me. It shouldn't come from them directly to me, right? And likewise, if I have any issues against your family or vice versa, like you have issues with my parents, you talk to me and I will talk to my parents, and I will talk to you, you talk to your parents. It should never be in such a way that the son or the daughter is out of the picture and then they are having issues directly communicated, because that is never helpful to handle a situation, but it is going to have a very bitter experience and an outcome is going to make it even worse, right? So I think that is a fair thing to do.
Yeah, and I'll always remember when we first met that you were very clear asking me and wanting to make sure we had that clarity and independence and individuality, that in the future we wouldn't be like all controlled by family members or all like, okay, we're coming to be into this big family,
Yes.
because that can become very unhealthy. And so we were in my family pretty close together. We would express a lot of things and be a pretty close family in many aspects. One thing that my family had very big was respect for each other's individuality and decisions and privacy in what do you decide to do and believe. Since very little, that was giving a lot of freedom in what we choose to believe and do. There were boundaries and regulations in the home, but there was a lot of freedom and independence in individuality. And so even though we are very much concerned and involved with each other, and each one in the family has different personalities, some more impulsive and outgoing, others more reserved, others more analytical, which that plays a role in the dynamics in the family. But that was a big thing But I think it also has to do with how much room you give to family members to become part of that sacred nucleus.
Yes. Yes.
Because family, like marriage, is this threefold cord, right? The husband, the wife, and God.
Exactly.
Anyone else that comes, even if it's father, mother, sibling, to that trifold cord, will disturb the cord.
Not just them, even children.
Yes, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. That trifold cord should never be added or disturbed. It only works when it's those three together. And then children come after that, and then other family and close friends have another realm, and like each one has their space, but if they come into that, then there's more frictions and
Yes. Yeah. 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 I agree with that aspect as well, that the threefold cord should not in any case be changed, replaced, modified. Recently I've been hearing that once the wife has a child, the child gets all the attention, the focus, and all of that. But in reality, it can be happening. In reality, people might be doing, but that shouldn't be the case. Yes, the attention should be there, but it should be together as husband and wife, mother and father, towards the child. But that child cannot be the priority once it comes between the husband and wife.
And I
Right?
think many times wives, as husbands have to be out working and just not very present constantly. Then when a child comes, that's their emotional support, and that becomes their strongest connection with their emotional needs. But
Yeah.
that can be later on down the road a codependent relationship
Exactly.
as well.
Exactly.
So for sure, a newborn and a toddler and a child will always have a special place in the mother and father's heart.
Absolutely.
But it shouldn't take the place of that foundation of the family, because children also become stronger when they see a strong marriage.
Yes.
It gives
Yes.
them security, gives them joy, even if sometimes they want to play, but if parents are not fully strong together, then the children won't be strong
Exactly.
and they will suffer.
And I remember one of our friends telling us how when he would come to the house from work, he will always greet the child first, the kid first.
Yeah.
And then he started noticing the wife was really like feeling left out. And then he remembered, oh, actually, my wife and I are number one, and then my child comes. And then he started to think and
Train the
train the mind, where once he comes home first, yes, the child has to be given importance, but the child cannot replace the spouse, whether it is the wife or the husband. The child will come after that bond, because the husband and wife bond is more sacred, right?
Yeah. So we don't have kids yet, but that's our prayer and goal. And I guess it's good to analyze it from now, how we envision that, because it seems that it's very easy to get off track because of
Exactly. Exactly.
just the cute new addition to the family and all the needs that it's
And
needed.
in many cases, that is how children start manipulating too, right? With the parents, they see who
More important.
who is showing them more attention. Let's say the mother is there in the house through the time and the emotional support, and she's always willing to do anything for the child. And then even when the husband comes home, the child is given the priority and all of that. Apart from codependency, the child now sees like, oh, okay, so the mom is giving me more attention than dad. And then, so which means I can try to get things done through her. Maybe I won't be able to do it through dad, or vice versa. Either way. And
They analyze a lot.
They do. We don't give them enough credit. They do a lot of analysis and they understand. And
Psychological analysis.
yeah, in that young age. And therefore what happens is they might come to the dad. The dad might say no for something, and then guess what? They're going to go to the mom. And next time they won't even come to dad. They will just go to mom because mom is the emotional support. She is there all the time. She loves me more than she loves dad. So she's going to do these things for me.
Very, very real things that
Yeah.
we've seen in friends and maybe in our own family dynamics. And so we need to learn from what we observe and ask God for help in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what are some other areas related to family dynamics that you've noticed that are important or that can be potential issues and how we can address them?
So, in the context, I think both the son in law has to develop a good relationship with the in laws. And it goes the same way with the daughter in law, with her in laws. Because you might not like necessarily what they do, what they talk, how they do, and all of that, but they are still the parents of your spouse. You cannot eliminate them from the
No,
picture.
no,
Totally.
never.
Because it is their blood, you know. So it is good to always develop, even if you don't like them. It is good to have a good cordial relationship. To have like
As much as possible.
yes, when you go on holidays like for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whenever, when you go, you spend time, you will be able to cherish the moments, you'll be able to enjoy the moments instead of, let's say, in our example, let me put this time on the girl side. You don't like my parents and how they do things or how they talk, whatever it might be. And I know that you've shared it with me, yada, 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 all those issues are there. Now we are going for Thanksgiving to my parents' house. Will it be a wonderful time or how is it going to be? You know, we need to think on all those things. For me, I'll be walking on eggshells. Oh no, my wife doesn't like this, and how is this going to go? And my parents are not going
So
to keep
you
their
want to
mouth shut.
enjoy time with your
Exactly.
family. I will not be happy, so everyone will be
Exactly.
unhappy.
So, exactly. So, you need to take those efforts, those measures to have a cordial relationship with your in laws, just as how I need to take measures to have a cordial relationship with my in laws because they are your parents and your in laws are my parents. So, it is very important to have that cordial relationship. You keep all your differences aside. Still, there should be a Christ like relationship with each other that will show also the love that you have for your spouse. Even if your in laws were on the wrong,
Yeah.
you still forgive them, you still move on, you keep the differences aside, you have a cordial relationship.
I love that. I love the part of forgiveness because many times, yes, they will hurt you, annoy you, or do things that you don't agree with. But can you let go or you will hold on to that like, "Ugh, I can't believe they did this to me or they said this to me. And then you're stuck with that. So letting go, not take it personal, but see the big picture and take the good
Yeah, yeah.
and still be respectful, even if sometimes you feel disrespected by something they do or say. I think that shows maturity from the couple side to not lower to their level or lower to a level of becoming disrespectful. I think that can really damage families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another thought or another topic I was thinking on is codependency between parents and children. How to work on those things, you know? What if the child, not necessarily a child, let's say your husband is codependent to his with his family, like, or let's say especially the mother or the father, whoever it is, but they are codependent. What, as a wife, how do you see it, and what will actually help that the son can do to come out of that codependency relationship, or are you okay with that?
So Since young, I would appreciate if a guy was caring for the mom and was, interested in her needs and would be, because that kind of gives you a hint of how he is in general with ladies in his life. If he's caring and loving with a mother, then he will probably exemplify some of those things with you as a wife. So I think that is wonderful. But when I would see guys that they constantly needed to be talking with their mothers or sisters for anything they would do or to figure their life constantly, then it's like, do they think for themselves? Do they have already a good foundation? Or maybe they're still growing in their maturity. So it would make me feel a little bit like it's great to be caring and connected to the people or the ladies in your life from your family as a guy, as a husband. But to depend on them for your guidance, for your mentorship constantly once you're a grown-up man, then that shows a little immaturity or maybe codependency, let's put it that way. Maybe you're trying to mature or you already are mature, but you feel you need that lady, that mother, that sister, that aunt, whoever it is, as your guide in your life. And once you grow up, you should have God as that main. And you can have other mentors, but for constantly every decision or every thought or just to share everything, it's like there won't be any secrets between me and my husband. There won't be any things that are ours.
Special
Everything
things,
will
yeah.
be of the mother, the sister, or whoever is that lady in his life, that family member even. And so I think there is a place for it, but
Yeah.
it can't come and then destroy that driveful cord that we talked that no one should come in between.
Yeah,
So even if a mother comes there and it's part of that constant nucleus, it will destroy what God wants to do as an individual family.
And for me to see it from a husband perspective, it won't be attractive at all. Honestly, if a girl is constantly codependent with the parents, now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about loving your parents. Loving your parents is one thing.
Being
but
connected and sharing,
Exactly, but codependent is totally different thing, and that is not attractive
What
at
is
all.
codependency?
Codependency is whatever you share, like they need to be constantly connected. They have to share every single move, every single thing in their lives. There is nothing special, and
So
they
basically, you cannot live your life without
don't without them.
them telling you what to do.
Yeah, every decision that you need to make, they have to tell you. You cannot make a decision on your own because you've been doing that. You've been in that pattern for a while, for years, and you're not able to come out of it. Not that you're not able to come out of it. You don't want to come out of it because you're codependently
That's your
comfortable there.
right.
Exactly. So you just settle there and you're happy and, oh, I need to make a decision. Okay, all right, mom, dad, what should I do for this? Instead, what attracts for me is when the girl is more independent, mature enough to understand how to steer through life. Getting counsel is not wrong,
Right.
but
It's wise.
constantly, exactly, but constantly depending on them to tell you what steps to take. That is codependency, and that is not really attractive for
A mature family.
for a mature relationship.
Right.
And what is going to happen is it will lead me to think, are you going to be codependent on me? Because it is like transferring from one place to another. So here your parents are there, your mom is there, your father is there, and you're constantly
That's a great point.
getting the feedback, and now you get into this relationship, and then now you're like, okay, my husband will tell me everything, what I should do and how I should do and this and that. That is not a good dynamics to have in a relationship or in a marriage, So that is a red flag, in fact, for me, because I don't want someone to be codependent with me. Codependent also doesn't mean they are in love with you. You know,
Right.
they are just codependent. That's it.
They
In-
need you to depend. They need you for life.
for their
but
dependence.
yeah, they need you to function. But yeah, they're not fully complete themselves. So they will then be draining you
Exactly. Exactly.
because you will never be able to fully
Yeah.
provide everything they need.
Exactly. It has to be that is where we will be talking about the last one, right? Boundaries and individuality. Boundaries and individuality. Where do I start drawing my boundary and where do I have my individuality? If I'm going to constantly ask you, hey, how about this one? How about that one? And I don't know how as a man to make an independent decision, I'm going to be asking you constantly. Now, the problem would be if you are more like a narcissist. Imagine that.
I'll be like, all right,
All right, I'm
let's control
glad
this guy.
Exactly. You will be like, all right, he came to the right spot. I'll take him on a ride. You know, that is how it is going to be. And I'm constantly depending on you. You are loving that dependence and all of those things. And that is not true love. That is not true love. It won't last too long. Even if it lasts too long, it's definitely not going to be a happily ever after.
No. And thinking about boundaries and individuality, we all need to be dependent on the Lord, but not 100% dependent. Like, we need each other, but we shouldn't be fully dependent on another human being, or
Exactly.
it will create codependency. And so that's the danger of not realizing that codependency is just an unhealthy pattern and
Absolutely.
something that will lead us to fall into traps of narcissists or controllers, and that we need to be dependent on the Lord, independent in the sense of like, me and God, we're enough. We can make decisions, but at the same time, humble enough to connect with others and be dependent on like a community or a family setting. We cannot just be like, oh, I do my decisions by
Yeah.
myself, because now we are a team, we're a family, but we have those boundaries as well. And how does boundaries work in marriage?
How does boundaries work in marriage? That is something amazing for a topic, because
I think we should make another episode on that at all.
solely for that, dedicated to
Yeah.
that, right? I agree. Maybe we should do boundaries in marriage, but just a little glimpse of it is boundaries. If the wife is not, let's be open, if the wife is not in the mood to make love, there is a boundary there. She has to set it there. The husband has to respect it. When the husband says, I need some personal time, I want to just unwind and do my own thing. I've had a long day at work and it was very stressful. Just for today, I need an hour or two. I want to go visit my friends, or I just want to spend time by myself, or play golf with my friends just Sunday. That is his boundary he's giving, and then the wife has to agree with that.
Another reality when it comes to boundaries is that when we set boundaries and the other person gives guilt trips, makes you feel guilty or gets upset and angry with it. If you say, I want to go and spend time with my friends, oh, if you loved me, you would stay, or if you love me, you wouldn't do that, or,
Yeah.
why do you always do that? And then I get upset. Or I try to manipulate you
Yes.
to get you to do what I want, and I don't respect your boundary.
Exactly.
Then that's dangerous. It's not healthy. Healthy boundaries is not saying I don't want you or leave me alone, but it's healthy expressions of needs and what is important to us. And if that's not respected or understood, we can speak about it if needed. But if there's no respect and there's always manipulation, guilt, even sometimes spiritual guilt can be used for certain things like, oh, God says this, or And so all of that can really damage healthy
Yeah,
relationships.
yeah. And the last point you said is very true. Spiritual, what was the term?
Manipulation.
Manipulation. Spiritual manipulation, spiritual guilt trip. A lot of people love to do that. What would Jesus do? That's the point they would come to. Oh, I've been having this and that the whole day, and then you don't want to spend time with me. What would Jesus do? You know?
So it's a Christian spiritual manipulation
Exactly.
to break into, maybe you said, I wish I could help you, but right now I have other things to attend. So then they bring guilt trips
Yes.
with whatever they know might, make you do what they want.
Exactly. And also, another point I want to make clear is that when I refer to the husband saying he had a long day or he just wants to go off just during the weekend just for a couple hours, I'm not talking about every day he needs to ask for time off and he needs to go. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about where he is really drained and he has been really giving quality time for the family, but at some point, once a week, he wants to spend time with his friends or spend time by himself. I think it is fair enough to
Yeah.
give him that opportunity to,
Yeah.
because when you do that, he's going to come back loving you even more. It's because it's going to refresh him. He's going to come back to more higher spirits and he will be more loving.
It gives freedom, and
Exactly.
freedom fosters love, and
Exactly.
love fosters all the good things we know
Exactly.
that God can bring. So when there's no freedom, there's control, manipulation. When there's no, if I put my boundary, others will get upset or make me feel bad, then there's no freedom to set boundaries, to be yourself. So that
Exactly.
kills love.
Yeah, yeah.
So many times we're yearning for love. That's why we want to manipulate or make the other person feel guilty. But actually, that's a way to kill love.
Exactly.
Because
And
love is not forced.
exactly. The other person is not going to feel like, oh, they are manipulating me. Let me love them even more. The moment they find that out, they are going to go the other way than what you're
Or
expecting them
love
to do.
because of fear.
Yeah.
Fear to be, mistreated or to be made feel guilty. And so, wow, no, definitely this is a huge topic.
Yeah. And if, let me say, I manipulate you and I attain what I want to get from you, is that really happily ever after?
No. No.
Definitely not. Definitely not. There is no love there. There is no happily ever after there. There is no mutual understanding and chemistry in it. It's just one person's manipulation that is making the other person to do it either out of pressure or out of guilt or like, whatever. And that is not love and that is not happily ever after.
No. So, happily ever after comes only when we let God be the center, when we surrender, and when we truly work together towards
Exactly.
God's plan.
Exactly.
And so we are passionate about sharing God's divine plan for relationships, and his plans are really so beautiful, and we're excited for what God is doing in our lives, things we are learning, and we want to share this journey to help each one of you.
Exactly.
So if you were blessed and enjoyed it, please subscribe to see more of the content we'll be sharing on a regular basis
Yes.
every week. And then make sure you like it, you share, and you leave comments of things that inspire you, things you've been learning, so that we can also keep learning from you.
Like, what type of boundaries would you put in your marriage or even in your relationship? How would you define codependency, and how you can differentiate it from loving your family, loving your parents? And then another thing is, do you agree with us in terms of the son or the daughter being in between the in-laws, the son-in-law and the parents of the wife? Those things we would really love to hear from you. Feel free to comment, and also, as my wife said, share it with those people that you think will need it and will be uplifted by these videos.
And if in any area of family relationships you have a prayer request, we also love to pray for
Absolutely.
friends, for others that are needing. So just leave your prayer requests and we will pray for you.